Hi, Brad Klein here from Golfweek magazine. We're at the Bethpage State Park for the 2009 US Open. A lot of interesting places out here. They always tell you when you're watching television and you're viewing the course from home, it's hard to see elevation. Well, right here on the 18th hole, we got this green here that's about 35 feet above the fairway, and you can see it's way above my head, so just keep a note of that. I'm also standing here in nearly a knee-high rough. This is actually tall fescue and blue stem. It's the place you do not want to be, and it's not that far off from the fairway here. So you're going to see lots of different mowing heights. They've got this place kind of step cut, graduated rough, and it's an area where you miss it a little bit and your ball will disappear. There's a little bit of an odd letdown at Bethpage. It's really the 18th hole, which basically, because it's so tightly pinched, forces the players to lay up down here at about 145 away from the green. There's really no advantage to hitting a driver unless you can bomb it 320, 330. And even then, all you have is a short wedge. So it's one of those holes that's unusual for Bethpage. In an Open on the 18th hole, it forces you really to lay up short of this bunker complex. It's a pretty tough bunk. Hey, what's this? Wait a minute. What do you got? We got a cap here. Looks like a drainage cap. We're on the lowest part of the fairway. They were talking earlier, with all the rain we're supposed to get, this fairway is kind of built on a swamp. So this is the lowest point. They got a cap drain right here in a bunker. Let's see if we can unpack this here. Yeah, that's a temporary drain. They'll probably remove that or cut it down during play. You wouldn't want a player in here, but you know, that's part of the kind of drainage infrastructure of a golf course. And so every once in a while, we're only 12 yards off the fairway. You got this thing going on. So my bet is they'll deal with this. It won't have a ruling. Stuart Sink here, he's getting ready to Twitter and to hit the drive here on the 4th hole. Tell us what you're thinking about, Stuart.
Well, this is probably one of the most famous holes here at Bethpage. Risk-reward par 5, and first idea here, because we're at the US Open, obviously, get the ball into play, but decision-making starts from the fairway. Most players can reach this green in 2, and if you can't reach it, there's an option to go out to the right and play and give yourself a good angle. It's really a good hole to study golf design and architecture with the angles.
What are you thinking, Stuart? Just
well,
barely
from
missed
here,
the fairway.
you really don't have much decision making because I missed the fairway by a few yards, but I'm not in the heavy cuts out there, so I'm just in a light rough. But still, there's enough grass around the ball where really a wood is not, going to be part of the equation here. So starting here now, I'm just looking at trying to get the ball back in the fairway for a comfortable wedge to the green so I can get aggressive again. And it looks like based on the lie and the yards I got to go, it's probably going to be like a 6 or 7 iron. It should leave me a wedge in.
Pretty good example of how to play the hole smart. If you're a pro, you lay up a little bit, hit a wedge in. Others, if you hit it in the fairway, you can go for it, but it's a great strategic par 5 here on the 4th at Bethpage. We're at the 14th hole, 158 yards on the card. This hole has actually changed quite a bit from 2002. The green has been expanded or recaptured. The front left hole location is all brought back. It had disappeared after years, and that left bunker didn't exist. They've also pushed the back of the green up onto a plateau, so you have hole locations back there that you didn't have. This hole was kind of simple. It actually played under par in 2002. What's really interesting, we only have one tee complex, and the tee is about 25 yards long, or 25 yards deep. Now, what they're going to do, like I said, the card shows this hole is playing 158, but they can play this anywhere from 170 to about 130 yards. And how do you do that? It's very simple. One day, they're going to play the back left location on the tee to the back right position on the green. That's about 170 yards. That brings the whole back part and the fall off into play. It's a very dangerous shot. And that's going to be probably 6, 7, maybe an 8 iron. Then one day they're going to bring the tee way up forward here to the right. And from here, it's going to play about 130 yards. Now we got this little tiny, watch this combination. It's an amazing difference that Mike Davis of the USGA has come up with. One day, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's on Sunday, they're going to stand right here in the front right, and then they're going to use that little finger of the green there in the front left. So we've just converted a 170-yard hole with a middle iron into a short par 3 where they have a chance to make birdie or maybe a 4 or 5 on Sunday. Great little bit of strategic flexibility in what looks like a simple par 3. We're on the 15th hole at Bethpage, which everybody acknowledges. Tiger said it very nicely yesterday in the press conference. This is the hardest hole on the golf course. He's very happy to make 4 pars here. 15th hole is about 465, 470. The real difficulty, you can see this green is 50 feet above the landing area, and it's also the steepest, the fall off from the back to the front. And the hard thing, from here they'll probably be hitting 5s and 6 irons maybe. The hard thing on elevation is that the ball hasn't spun out yet, so as the ball's coming down, it lands and it's got a lot of forward velocity and it's moving, and it's really hard to control. So a guy who can hit a high soft iron here is going to have a big advantage over a fella who's hitting a lower trajectory or a shot that still is boring through the air, because it will not hold this green. This green is so slick and so severe that they've put out a notice to the players that they're going to keep this green 1 foot or so slower than the rest of the golf course. Everything else will be about 14 or so on the stip meter. This will be 13, maybe even a little less. It's so scary steep, and all they can utilize here is a hole locations on the back half of the green. The front is just unusable. Just to give you an example, I'm going to toss this ball down. We're 20 feet away from the hole. The putt breaks right to left. I'll play it a little more outside than normal, but let's just see how fast this is. Here we go. This course was built in 1935. Slopes like this kind of made sense because they were mowing at a much higher height. Nowadays, this green, all the greens out here are being cut at under 1/10 of an inch. Pretty good example there. I tossed it a little faster maybe, but that's now, I was 20 feet, now we're 70 feet away. Clearly this green, more than any other at Bethpage, is steep and kind of out of control. Hey, show you the idea of how far they go to stretch the golf course. I'm back here in the maintenance building of Bethpage, and I'm going to walk through this back gate here. Excuse me while I get this here, but you can see where they've got the new back tee right here, just 20 yards off the maintenance building. Watch this, excuse me. Right there, here we go, a little bit of walking. And here we are, back tee. How about that? So they've backed this thing up right to the garage, to the barn. You can see it over here. So that's what it takes to stretch a par 3 these days, 20 yards more.